and welcome to the video, and today I'm going to be embarking on a new medieval sewing project, and I hope to document the whole thing along the way. I seem to be cursed to always start projects and never finish them, which is why I have several videos on the back burner about sewing that have never gone anywhere because I always forget to film the process. But now I have some new filming equipment and I invested in some actually good fabric this time. I think over this summer I'm going to actually try to film my whole process and actually accomplish something with this video. As you could probably tell from the title, I'm going to be working on a medieval project kind of from scratch. I'll be scouring, mordanting, dyeing, and sewing 2 dresses all by myself, as well as making a pair of stockings and also potentially a new veil. If I'm feeling super adventurous, I might also potentially want to try my hand at making shoes. In the past, I've tended more towards Victorian fashion, so like specifically the 1830s, 1860s, and 1890s. I even wrote my senior thesis about Victorian fashion and industrialism. But since about this time last year, I've been kind of down this medieval rabbit hole, and I really haven't been able to think of any other time period. I think the final catalyst for this, all culminating over years worth of being kind of peripherally interested in the medieval period, was getting into Game of Thrones, which is kind of funny if you think about it. Last year when I attempted to make my first video, I made 2 dresses in the medieval style, but I think I'll be using more of what I learned during that process as a trial run, so I actually know what I'm doing this time, or kind of know what I'm doing this time. During that last project, I worked with a linen blend fabric, so it was linen and viscose, which is a natural fiber, but I would have preferred it to be 100% linen, but unfortunately that was all I was able to afford at the time. I went through the process of mordanting and dyeing the fabric myself, which was a first for me, and that was really exciting to see the kind of chemical changes that occur during the dyeing process. I was finally, just this week, able to get my hands on some wool fabric, which is what I had initially wanted to use last year, but wasn't able to find or afford. So I will finally be achieving what I wanted to achieve last year. Not that they ever carried 100% wool, but with the advent of Joann's going out of business, which is like the worst thing to ever happen, I've had to look elsewhere for fabrics, and while looking online, I found this shop. I believe they're based in Kentucky, called the Woolery. I think they specialize mostly in yarn, but for whatever reason, I think it was for rug making, they had a significant yardage of wool for a fairly reasonable price, so I jumped on that, obviously, and got 6 yards, which if memory serves, should be plenty to make 2 dresses in the style I'm thinking of. For this year's project, which I suspect will take the whole summer to complete again, especially now that I'm working, I'm going to be making 2 dresses. The first one, I'm going to be using what's left of my Weld dye. So Weld is a flower dye that produces this really vibrant, buttery yellow color. For the second dress, I'll be using logwood, which I haven't had the chance to use yet, but I'm really excited to. This dye, which is supposed to produce a really nice purple color, technically isn't accurate to medieval Europe, but the dress I have in mind for it is kind of more on the side of fantasy than historical costuming, so I'll let it slide this time. I've been playing around with the idea of a medieval take on Lady Amalthea's costume, which is why I chose to go with a more inaccurate purple than any other color. Both of these dyes are from the Love of Colours Etsy shop, and I totally recommend them if you're looking for natural dyes. They have a really vast array of nice colors. I'm still on the fence about whether or not I want to line these dresses, because that would be a whole extra step and a lot more material I would need. Chances are, knowing me, in the end I probably am gonna commit to it, but I suppose I'll cross that line when I come to it. For the stockings, or hose, whatever you want to call them, I'll be predominantly referencing Elin Abrahamsson's video on the construction of stockings. I've been a subscriber of Elin's for a really long time, like years and years. She's kind of my role model when it comes to historical costuming. She was definitely the one who inspired me to start using natural dyes myself. I just love all her videos, so if you're interested in this type of thing and you've never heard of her or seen her videos before, I would absolutely recommend checking her out. In addition to videos, I'll also be referencing texts like blog posts and books. Just recently I found a PDF about medieval tailoring, which I will definitely be referencing in regards to garment construction. This project as a whole might go more slowly than I'm used to because now I'm working 4 days out of the week, more or less. but I'm actively going to try to keep updating. Unfortunately, the weather has not been cooperating at all lately. It's been raining for almost 2 months straight in New York, and we've barely gotten any sunny days, which kind of hinders my plans because half of this project needs to be completed outdoors where I can rinse off the excess dye and hang out the fabric to dry on the clothesline. I suppose we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and hope that late May into June the weather clears up. Now I guess the only thing left to do is wait for the wool shipment to arrive. It's been about 2 months since I filmed the previous portion of this video when I explained how the weather was going to potentially impede my progress on this project, and lo and behold, it's the end of June and I have not been able to start it because it has been raining nonstop for 2 months straight. It's actually kind of sunny out right now, but this is the first sunny day we've had in weeks. I need to go outside in order to be able to do this, and I can't go outside if it's pouring rain every single day. So as you can see in this clip of me rolling around on the floor like an idiot, I may have underestimated the amount of fabric I'm going to need for this project since I wanted to do 2 dresses. I might only have enough for 1 dress. The fabric is doubled over as I'm like laying on the floor measuring it. But if the length of me is one side of the dress and that's doubled, so like front and back, then I'm not gonna have enough for a second dress left over. But I guess if I were going to have to pick either or, I would probably commit to the yellow dress over the purple dress. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just a little frustrating. I'm going to continue playing around with the measurements just to see if there's any way I can work it out. Hopefully I'll be able to start the dyeing process now that it hopefully won't be like monsooning for the rest of the summer. It'll just be jungle hot. Okay. Previously, I didn't have a pot large enough to hold several yards of fabric, so I had to order an 84-quart cooking drum. While waiting for that to arrive and for the weather to cooperate, I undertook several side quests. Firstly, my family took me to the Cloisters in New York City for my birthday, which was really fun. I'd never been there before, but I always wanted to go because I knew that they had on exhibit the unicorn tapestries, which have always been near and dear to me since I was a kid. What I also discovered there was an exhibit on medieval dyes. They had all the materials and colors produced by these dyes and a really cool array, and it was super awesome to see some of the stuff that I work with on display also, like madder and weld. I would definitely recommend checking out the Met Cloisters if you're ever around in New York City and are interested in medieval history and art. Additionally, I picked up this vintage cedar and walnut chest at the thrift, and it was painted this horrible white, and I don't know why anybody would ever want to paint wood, but anyway, I decided to take it upon myself to restore it, and so I've been working on that, huffing chemical fumes in my basement workshop, and trying not to lose my mind over the sewing project that isn't happening. This is so satisfying. I get into furniture repair now.
Did I say sewing?
Yeah, this is actually what the video is about now. So I got the pot. It's literally ginormous. Like, you can fit a small person into it. Now that I finally have all my materials ready, I'm going to mordant the fabric in alum powder, which will make it more susceptible to soaking up the dye. The first step to mordanting is filling up the pot with water. From there you measure out the alum powder. According to the weight of fiber, which was 5 pounds, I would need 1 3/4 cups, and I didn't have enough to begin with. So of course, because it's just my luck, I ran out of alum. So there's not as much as there should be in here. There should be about 2 cups. There's only about 1. So let's hope it still does the trick. Once the alum is thoroughly mixed into the water, then you can go ahead and put in your fabric. Here we go. Realistically, you should be wearing gloves while you do this because the alum is very drying for the skin, but I work with Clorox wipes every day, so I don't really care anymore. So you should be stirring that every once in a while, but I have to go to work, so it's just gonna sit in this pot for 5.5 hours until I get home. So because I was almost a full cup short of alum, I kind of got a little bit paranoid and ended up telling my dad to go get more in the little McCormick jars from the grocery store to put in while I was at work. I don't think being short would be that big of a deal, but I really don't want to take any risks right now. Since the alum was poured in smaller increments rather than all together initially, I actually ended up letting it soak overnight in the hope that it would nullify the time discrepancies. The morning after it soaked, I took it out of the mordant bath and squeezed out as much of the excess water as I could. That in and of itself was a pretty arduous task since the fabric was really heavy because of the amount of water that was still trapped in it. I emptied out the mordant bath and refilled the tub with regular cold water, and then put the fabric right back in it to soak for a little bit longer. In addition, I'm also adding the linen that will be used for the lining to this bath, just to soften up the fabric so it's not as stiff. I just have to let this sit for, it should have been overnight, but I came home really late last night from seeing Fantastic Four. And I didn't have the patience to stand outside at 10 o'clock at night emptying out this gigantic bucket. Yeah, so this will stay in here for a few hours, and then tonight I'm going to steep the dye. Yay. I literally cannot even begin to explain to you how heavy the fabric is when it's soaking wet. I could barely carry it, like, what is that, 12 paces from the pot to here, and I have to get it all the way up there. Oh. Oh shit. I don't know where that came from, but I don't like it. I want to get this over with so bad that I'm just like laying it out on the floor. I don't give a shit anymore. While visiting one of the libraries in my local system, I came across this book on modern dyeing. And it detailed like all the sorts of natural dyes you can find and how to use them. And I thought that was really cool given the current project. So it's bright and early in the morning. I didn't end up steeping the dye last night because somebody decided it was too late when I wanted to start. I have filled the bucket up with just regular water about like 1/3 of the way up. Now I have to just bring the water to a boiling point with this little propane burner thing that I got, and then once it's boiling, pour in the 150 grams of Weld. So, fingers crossed. So 212, I believe, is the boiling point of water. So it's currently 84.2 degrees. So we have a little ways to go. 95, making progress. Word to the wise, always actually follow directions and don't be like me. It's literally 1,000,000 degrees out here. I'm dying. It's actually not that bad in the shade. It's just humid. So technically the boiling point for water is 212. This is 197 and it's pretty boiling to me. I've been waiting for 2 hours for it to boil and I'm kind of getting impatient to get on with my day because I still need to let it sit for like 8 hours and then heat it up again tonight because I work tomorrow morning. So I'm just gonna put the dye in now. Like I said, I am terrible at following directions, so I've been huffing propane for like 2 hours and that's enough. Pee-pee water. Get sludged. I'm supposed to allow this to cool in the dye bath, but this pot like keeps in heat so well that the water in here was warm after it had been off the heat for like hours today. So honestly, I don't even know if it's gonna cool. So I either like leave it overnight and deal with it tomorrow afternoon, or I take it out now and rinse it now, which I don't think is the best idea. I'm kind of a little bit at a loss for what to do right now. Yeah. Essentially, the kirtle will be made in several parts. So the first part will be the front. So it'll be kind of like this. I'm not making it a straight rectangle. I'm kind of doing two separate pieces for the front, and the front will actually be more like this. So it'll be better shaped to my body. So it'll have like a kind of curve, like almost an S shape. The sleeves will kind of be like that. So not completely straight across. They'll be, instead of having like, because sometimes people will make like a separate little triangle piece that they insert there. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna like kind of extend it, so it'll be like that. When I actually cut out the piece, it'll like, this will serve as the triangle kind of. Then on the sides, we're gonna do some gores here, which will give the skirt volume. And then the back is just gonna be the back is just gonna be a single piece. But again, I'm not cutting out a single rectangle, so it'll kind of be, it'll have a little bit of shape. So it'll kind of, I'm really bad at drawing like flat patterns. That's kind of terrible. That's why garment drawing and like the fashion, what are they called? Fashion models? I forget. I took a fashion class. I don't know. Whatever. They're always bad. So my flat drawings are always terrible. But that's what the back is going to look like. So up the front, the eyelets are going to alternate like this. Last year I measured them, so there was like an inch between each eyelet, but it took so long to measure them out. I think I'm just gonna like eyeball it this year. It makes more sense when you actually see it rather than me just doing a really bad drawing. Sometimes you'll see that there's just like twill tape kind of on the inside lining, but I'm gonna just line like the whole thing. The outside will be wool and the inside will be linen. So yeah, so I hope that makes sense. So I have the pattern pieces that I used for the kirtle that I made last year, but I'm gonna make some alterations to it this year, mainly making like a higher neckline and extending, like widening the arm side a little bit, because it was a little tight last year in the armpit region. I'm not gonna bother making new patterns. I'm just gonna kind of wing it, which is basically what this entire project has been me doing so far.
turn into the starting position. Let us in and act already. Noble knights, let's charge.
Let us not do anything we might regret, my lord.
Hello. So, we're finally at the end of this video. It's been an insane journey. I didn't realize it would take as long as it did. I think I started filming in about May, and it is currently September, like 2 weeks away from the end of September. So that's been almost half a year. The decor in my room has changed like 3 times, and my hair is 2 inches longer. So I guess that's just a testament to how long it took me to film this. I'm covered in schmutz. Ew. I think I learned a lot over these past couple months about my own personal sewing journey, and also kind of just historical sewing in general. The comparison of this dress to last year's dress is, the differences are astronomical. The way that this is constructed is so much better and you know, like more closely historically accurate. And that's something that made me super happy. Is at the fair, I kept getting compliments and hearing people as I passed by saying how period accurate my outfit was, and especially since I was the only one there out of however many thousand people were in attendance that was dressed like this. I mean, of course, there was a lot of dudes in full plate armor, but I was the only woman dressed in a medieval kirtle and wimple, which was super fun to be super unique there. And that's always something that I strive for. I guess some final notes about the construction. I always have trouble sizing gores correctly, so the sides of the dress were longer than the front and back, which isn't super great, but it worked. It was fine. Next year when I do this again, I think I'm gonna try to do a more historically accurate lace, because right now what I have is like, this is made of embroidery floss, but I braided it like you would a friendship bracelet. So I think there's like 5 strands or something. The finger looming of the laces is kind of complicated, but I have time to figure it out now. I made the sleeves too long, which I guess wouldn't be that big of a problem if I'd chosen to do buttons up the sleeves, which is technically the proper way of making sleeves, but I wasn't that worried about it. So I have to keep the sleeves rolled up because they're so long. Look, just to show you, they cover my whole palm, which I guess isn't a bad look, but it wasn't what I was going for. I think for my next project / video, I'm going to work on some leather pieces, since I didn't have time to get to that for this video. I'd wanted to make shoes and a new bag to wear, but that didn't end up happening. So I think I'm going to invest in like a yard of leather or something, and try my hand at leather work. I've done a little bit of leather work in the past in making this pouch that I wear to the Renaissance Fair, but it isn't at all historically accurate. It's kind of just like like a bag, but it's not something that I'm disinterested in, so I'll try it. The shoes that I filmed myself putting on, I didn't actually end up wearing because they have no arch support and my back was really bothering me that day. So I had to just wear regular lace-up combat boots, which I wear every year, and they're just perpetually dusty from the Renaissance Fair. I think this time around, I'm gonna like commit fully, like 100% and do the whole outfit. And hopefully by next year my hair will be longer, so these won't be as pathetic. I need to go wash this whole thing desperately because it's a little sweaty because it was so hot when I went to the Renaissance Fair. So I'm gonna go do that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!